So I was talking to this girl once, really pretty girl, very much a go-getter, had her career kind of figured out, highly disciplined girl, and honestly, not super feminine until I started talking to her. And then she became a lot more feminine. And honestly, this was the type of girl I wanted. This was years ago. Definitely the type of girl I wanted um, by all standards. But it didn't work out. And I was a little sad at first. Back then, I didn't understand a lot of the things that I understand now because I felt a real chemistry with her. I'm very good at picking up when there's an authentic connection taking place. And this girl was exactly like that. I mean, authentic connection, things were vibing, the chemistry was there. And I can tell when a girl is into me. I'm very good at that. This is why I don't really get rejected very much if I know the person at all, is because if I don't feel that vibe, I don't even do anything with it. And I could definitely feel it with this girl. And I made a move. I escalated things to like a romantic level, and she was down for it. She went with it. But shortly after, seemingly out of the blue, she kind of just fell off. And she's like, hey, like, we're in different life stages and all these things. Granted, I was quite a bit older than her. Um, but I didn't buy it. I was like, this girl is still, this girl is still into me. There's something about this that is scaring her, and she's backing away. And then a few years later, she randomly, I mean, we had unfollowed each other. We're not talking anymore. I haven't spoken to her forever. And then randomly out of the blue, she shows up on all my stories, like in the story views. And I'm not petty like that, you know. I'm not like, oh, what girl has looked at my I have to do it for business, you know, like it's important for me to know who's watching my stories for business. So I noticed her name and face popped up, and I was like, what is she doing here? Like, why is she watching my stories? So I go to her profile, and she's engaged, and her wedding is coming up like in the next couple months. I'm like, what? Why would she go look up my profile and watch my story? Because girls know that you can see when they watch your stories. They know that. For some girls, watching your story is shooting their shot. As stupid as that sounds, I guarantee you, some girls think that they're shooting their shot when they watch your story. It's ridiculous. So I'm like, why would she watch my stories? So she's engaged and she looks at my profile to watch my stories and see what's going on. Weird. Okay. I look at the guys she's engaged to. Like I said, I'm very good at reading people. I'm very good at catching a vibe. I remember a couple years ago, I was sitting down like with my parents for something. It was like I was visiting them or something for lunch, Sunday lunch or something like that. And we just start talking and they bring up a couple. I'm like, oh yeah, you know, he's more in his feminine and she's kind of domineering and ruling the relationship. They're like, yo, how do you know that? Because my parents are counselors and they talk to a lot of different couples. But I didn't really know the couple at all, and I just nailed spot on the relationship dynamic. And my parents were like, dude, how do you know that? And I was just like, I don't know. It's just I can pick up on vibes really quickly. I remember one of my friends recently here on the island, shortly when I moved here last year, there was this couple that we both knew of, and my friends and I were talking about the couple. I was like, yeah, they're going to break up in, 3 or 4 months. And my friends were like, no way. Like, what? Like, how can you say that? Like, we love these people. We know these people. How can you say that? I'm like, I'm not going to go into the details of how I knew, but sure enough, it happened. I can read body language in people very well. And then my parents, like back to that story when they were at lunch, my parents kind of were impressed by that. And then they just started taking pictures off of the refrigerator or showing me pictures on their phone. They're like, okay, what's this dynamic? What's that dynamic? And I was like 85% spot on just by looking at one picture of the couple. Okay. So let me tell you, and yeah, that helps a lot with coaching. It helps a lot with dating advice and vibes and all that. So it plays into my business very nicely. But let me tell you, when this girl that stalked my story, when I saw the man that she was engaged to, I immediately knew what had happened. And it's something that happens to a lot of girls nowadays, and nobody wants to talk about it. But I want to talk about it with you guys because I think you need to know what kind of you're up against in today's dating market. And basically it's the girl boss and the confusion that comes with that. Okay, now I want to make a disclaimer before I jump into all this. There can be girl bosses that are just great, like a great catch, a great fit, really good wife material girls. They can even be like the trad wife girls too. Being a girl boss is fine in theory. There's nothing wrong with it at surface level. But here's the thing. Being a girl boss, and let's define terms. A girl boss is someone that's very driven, that's career oriented. She makes her money, she hustles, she goes after what she wants in life, and she ascends hierarchies, right? She can climb the corporate ladder, she can be an entrepreneur, she knows how to work the system and ascend in the system. And she applies a lot of grit and persistence and courage to do so, right? All of that is good, all right? But here is the thing. The structure of the world is masculine. I'm going to say that again. The structure, not the whole world itself, but the structure of the world is masculine. And for a girl boss to be a boss girl, she has to work within the structure of the world, and the structure of the world is masculine. What does that mean? It means she has to be masculine to be a girl boss. And the girl boss is to blame for why a lot of women in their late 20s, in their early 30s, in their late 30s are really good catches. Like these women are great. They're godly. They're mature. Nothing wrong with them on paper. And they're accomplished. But because they have gone the girl boss route, and part of that is just society prolonging adulthood. There's a lot of reasons for why that's a thing. Feminism is one of them, how that doctrine has infiltrated Christian culture as well. Equal rights, it's one of those slogans, right? Who can really disagree with equal rights? At the surface, it's like, yeah, I want equal rights. I mean, who can disagree with pro-life? Yeah, of course I'm pro-life. But then also, who can disagree with Black Lives Matter? Of course they matter. Who can disagree with pro-choice? Yeah, we should all be able to make choices, right? These slogans are always only half-truths, right? Because there's always something underneath, something implied. And the equal rights thing is the same way. Sure, everybody should have equal rights, but what's underneath that? What's infused into that is now it's not just that women have equal rights to men, it's that they are trying to do the same things in the same way that men do. And what that produces in these women who are getting older, they're losing fertility, and they're losing options, and they're getting very frustrated. It produces within them a certain element of masculinity. And masculinity in a woman is not attractive to a masculine man. And that's what they don't understand. I've come across countless reels and posts of women either showboating how much they've done or referencing all of their accomplishments and then contrasting that with their dating life. Like, where are the good men? Why don't they see all these things that I've done and see that I'm a catch? That's masculine positioning. Okay. I remember specifically there's this one girl, she's got like 2 master's degrees. She started a couple companies. She's got like a 6-figure plus net worth, all these different things. And she's like, I am the prize. I am the catch. Now, her arrogance and showboating aside, I'm impressed by her accomplishments. And they will say, oh, men are intimidated because I'm a girl boss. Some are. Some men are intimidated by the girl boss. Because some men are just intimidated by anything that's significantly greater than or more accomplished than they are. Men are like weak-minded people in general are intimidated by more powerful people. That's the way of the world, okay? So yeah, some men are intimidated by the girl boss, but that's not to blame for their lack of success in dating and relationships. It's not that I, as a masculine man, a secure, confident masculine man, it's not that I'm intimidated. No, I think it's great. Like, good for you. You got your bag, girl. Like, that's awesome. You're hustling, you're accomplished. It doesn't intimidate me. I'm happy for you. But it doesn't really move the needle for attraction. It doesn't make me more attracted to you. And women have been deceived into thinking that it should count for something. And if it's a dude, if it's like one man to another, like, who am I going to put on my team? Who do I want in my circle? Who do I want in the squad? Then yes, I am looking for things like accomplishment and skill and hustle. But when I'm looking for a woman to come home to every day, that's not on the radar at all. It's just not. When I'm looking for a feminine presence to bring dynamism and playfulness and peace and companionship into my life, I don't want another dude. Okay? I love my boys. I kiss the homies every night before I tuck them in. I love my boys. Okay? But that's a different type of love than I want to have for my woman. And again, it's not that these girl boss achievements, it's not that they diminish her viability, but they also don't help it. And the problem is, like we said before, the structure of the world is masculine. And if she's going to be a girl boss, she has to be a boss, and she has to play masculine games to win those masculine prizes. And in the process, so many of our women have become unattractive to masculine men because they've become masculine themselves. That ruins this concept of polarity, right? And everybody likes to freak out, lose their minds when I talk about polarity or any word that the New Age uses or any word that any non-Christian uses. It's like, oh, red flag, Luke is off with the kooks, he's off in the deep end. I don't have time for those people. I don't have time to explain to them that the New Age does not own vocabulary, okay? These are the same people that they wouldn't let their kid wear a t-shirt with a rainbow on it because of the gays. They, oh, you can't like rainbows or put a rainbow sticker on your lunchbox because no, God made the rainbow. God owns the rainbow. If you like rainbow tie-dye, if you want to get a rainbow tattooed on your arm, do it. And God owns polarity. God owns faith. God owns belief. God owns the subconscious mind. God owns all reality and all truth. And I'm not gonna freaking derail this whole thing on a rant, but you want to be taking your advice from someone who has not surrendered certain words to the enemy, okay? I'm I'm going to use the words that apply to the thing I'm talking about. I'm not going to tiptoe around things that modernity has commandeered for evil means, okay? And neither should you, all right? Polarity. What is polarity? Polarity is simply the distance, the space in between two poles that are opposite of each other. And in that space, there is an attraction. Opposites attract, okay? Opposing personalities can be attractive to each other from a friendship perspective, all right? But it has nothing to do with how a man loves a woman or how a woman loves a man. Could there be an attraction there if they have different personalities that complement each other? For sure. But that attraction is going to be platonic. And I have nothing to say against that. Like some platonic polarity is good in a man and his wife because it just helps on the friendship level. But that's absolutely not what you need for the pizzazz, the sparks, the relational polarity. Okay? That is all about one thing and one thing only, the masculine and the feminine. And guys, men can be feminine, women can be masculine. And really in the scripture, when you understand what actual masculinity is and actual femininity is, then you understand that they're not like good and evil. The feminine is nurturing, dynamic, adaptable, devoted, and there's some other things. I have a whole video on this. And those are all fundamentally good things, okay? And men can be all of those things too at times. But if you want to have this thing called polarity, then you have to have a woman who's exhibiting more of one side and a man who's exhibiting more on the other side, okay? And that's what we're missing. We're missing it on two fronts. One is the women have become more masculine. Okay, the counterpart to the feminine are also good things, right? So the feminine is adaptable, the masculine is obsessed. The feminine is dynamic, the masculine is grounded. The feminine is devoted, the masculine is consecrated. Again, I have a whole video on this. I think it's unlisted, so you'll have to dim me on IG if you want it. But, dude, nobody understands this stuff. I was very hesitant to start talking about it because, at least publicly, because I was like, if people understood this and applied it, the whole game would change. Like, I was afraid people would take what I was doing and like copy it and make a bunch of money off it because it's literally life-changing stuff. But nobody notices or cares. Like, people still don't get it. I think we're projected to have 50% of women over the age of 25 completely single by 2030. Like, there's a statistic that rhymes with that. It's very close to that. And guys, I feel bad for these women because they're really frustrated and they don't know what to do, and they've got their lives together and they're good people, but they're struggling in dating. And by and large, it's because they've killed their own polarity. Now, like I said before, some women can pull it off, and those women have what I call queen energy, which is They're able to lean into the masculine when they need to, but then they're also able to lean into the feminine when they need to. Okay? And that's a beautiful thing, but it's very, very rare. It's very, very rare. The large majority of women and men too can only be in one energy or the other as a defining life pattern. They can't easily switch between the two. That's a skill. That's a skill that takes kind of a special giftedness or just maturity and practice. But most women can't do that. And because of the girl boss push, we have a lot of accomplished women who would otherwise make great partners that are stuck and that are kind of frustrated and floundering. The other piece, of course, is the men have become more effeminate. Masculinity hardens you, femininity softens you. That's the way God made it. It's a good thing. You don't, just because you're soft doesn't mean you're weak. Okay, that's another big misconception. The Proverbs 31 woman, in that chapter, you see the word strength used 3 times to describe this woman. Women can be powerful and strong and still soft and still feminine. So let's not get anything twisted here. The issue with the women has its own counterpart in the men. The men have become less masculine. So now we're killing polarity on both sides, which is causing all of these great women to get older and older and stay single. It's also exacerbating the effect of men preferring someone younger, because the younger a woman is, the less likely she is to be rigid in her masculine energy. As she ages and gets more independent and more bitter, she becomes more rigid in that masculine energy. And she will attract and actually start to become attracted to men who have that opposite polarity, which is a weird thing, because deep down inside she's like, this is not the man that I really want, but for some reason I like him. This happens to women all the time. She'll be with a guy. This is not the man I really want, but I also like him. And it's kind of a 50-50 deal. Sometimes she's like, I'm attracted to him. I don't know why. And it makes sense on paper, so I'm just going to go for it. That's a tragedy. That happens a lot. That does not produce a great dynamic. God can still work in it. And what God has joined together, let no man separate. I'm not saying that that's anything we should divorce over at all, but it does not lend itself to a healthy dynamic, okay? And then you have, the other half or so of the women that are like, nah, this, I kind of like him, but I don't like the way I like him, and so I'm done. And a lot of this is happening on that subconscious level, right? So, this is going to be a shorter one, I think, but I want to talk about too, like, what can you actually do about it? There's kind of 2 routes, right? You can notice, you can be aware, you can realize, hey, the women, they're turning into these masculine boss babes that are not attracted to me, and I'm not attracted to them. And all is lost, doom and gloom. Let's just black pill this thing and only date the younger ditzes and kind of spin plates and all these things. You can do that if you want. I don't recommend that. A lot of red pill kind of does that too. And obviously black pill is like that, but without any hope, right? So I don't recommend that. What I recommend is for you to become as masculine as you can possibly be, because here's what happens. All it takes for polarity is to have that gap in between. And it has to be a big enough gap where one person is clearly the masculine and one person is clearly the feminine. When you have that clarity of separation, it creates that gap of polarity and then the attraction, the chemistry, the sparks. Okay. So what you need to do is become so masculine that you can actually convert a woman into being more feminine. And that's how you can unlock that queen energy. Unfortunately, I refuse to date women who don't tap into the masculine at all. I'm extremely picky with that. I kind of have to have a woman who can do either. And so that drastically narrows my options. But I don't recommend that for everybody. It's definitely, it will challenge you and test you in ways that can be quite exhausting. I think it's worth it, but it's definitely not for everybody. So, but no matter who you are, no matter what you want, I would recommend become as masculine as you possibly can. Not for the sake of women, but for the sake of just your existence. You're going to be the most happy and fulfilled as a man if you were leaning into masculine energy, which is what God designed you to be ruled by predominantly. So become as masculine as you can. And then what you'll find is there will be, like, let's say you're a 9 out of 10 masculine. There will be a woman who's a 7 out of 10 masculine, but around you, she will switch and she will show up in a feminine way. And not only that, but it's going to be super freeing for her. It's going to be super relaxing. She's going to really enjoy that switch, and she's going to want to be around you a lot, because the feminine is where she feels the most safe and the most relaxed and the most at peace. That's the energy God designed her to be in. As men, we don't prioritize safety, or at least we don't if we're doing well. If a man is doing well, if he's confident, if he's purposeful, if he's on his mission, then he's not prioritizing safety. He's prioritizing expansion and freedom. That is the call of the wild that is put into the heart of every man by God. Expansion, freedom, conquest. Safety is important, but it's not the priority. For the feminine, she wants to feel safe, and she doesn't feel safe in the masculine. She can feel a lot of great things in the masculine, but not the thing that God designed her to feel, which is safe. So when you become this masculine player, 8, 9 out of 10 masculine player, then you're going to find a 7 or 8 out of 10 masculine woman, and then she will convert, she will transform when she is with you into the feminine. That is the unlock for a lot of guys and a lot of relationships in general. We could just wait and you say, no, the women need to change, the women need to come off it. Sure. But if you're holding your breath and waiting for other people to change, you might end up passing out. You know what I mean? As men, as the masculine, we should be the initiators. We should be the ones who move first, who disrupt the status quo in an effort to make something better. And that's not happening right now as a whole. The men are becoming more passive. The men are becoming more aimless. It's got to change. It's got to change. And if you're watching this and you're a man, I would encourage you, let the change start with you. Become a more masculine man. Okay? It's really cool to see too. It's really cool to see when the feminine comes out in a woman who is not used to letting it come out. It's very cool to see. It's a very rewarding feeling. I've described it as like the most rewarding feeling a man can have in a relationship is when she disconnects from the masculine because she feels safe and she can relax into her feminine essence that God designed to be her primary operating system. And then there's this beautiful connection, this beautiful chemistry. You really can't beat that feeling, honestly, in a relationship. It's like peak relationship experience. Yep. There's one more thing I was going to tell you guys. Yeah, basically, it's that whenever you decide to become more masculine, your dating life will change. And specifically, you will learn to see if you can gauge basic like reciprocity in relationship with a woman, then you can actually start to target women who are a little more boss babe, a little more masculine. Excuse me. And once you become more confident in your masculinity, then her masculinity won't be a deterrent. It'll be more of a challenge. It'll be like, oh, she's kind of in her masculine. And I know this sounds toxic, right? But it's like, I can fix that, right? Should like, and by the way, it shouldn't be like some sort of a mission project where you're like trying to fix her for like weeks or months. It'll be really quick. You'll know it really quick. If she can relax into her feminine around you, you'll know it within a few weeks at most. If we can do that, we can change the dating game, truthfully. If we can become masculine and confident and then identify a woman who is great, is ready, is wanting a good man in her life, but maybe is not leaning into her feminine, when we understand those dynamics and we can identify that type of woman, we can approach her and then convert her energy over, okay? Most of y'all are not going to track with all that, but there's going to be like one or two of you that do. Good. Act on it. This is for the boys, episode 41. Y'all take care.